Well, here we go again. The media once again trying to claim the gaming industry is sexist because of its portrayals of women in their looks in video games. Just because they're attractive, it's sexist. Now, they do mention, scandals in the gaming industry, like the Activision Blizzard stuff, but that's really not what we're focusing in on here. We're more focusing on what they say about Aloy and portrayals of women characters in video games. This is from Bloomberg. They say the video game business has a long and troubled history of sexism and gendered stereotypes. A round of scandals at multiple gaming companies offered a reminder that the industry has a lot more to do to fix its culture and repair its reputation. The situation isn't hopeless. A hit release from Sony shows that there's a big market for games that portray women as smart and resourceful actors rather than as pawns, victims, and objects of male desire. And why are they saying that, you may ask? Well, because of this. Because her face is now fat instead of like this, that means it's better representing women. That is very sexist, in my opinion. Just because a woman looks good doesn't mean they can't be powerful and strong female character. That is absolutely absurd. Recently, League of Legends maker Riot Games has been sued for gender discrimination. I don't know much about that lawsuit. I can't comment on that, but Ubisoft and Activision Blizzard have let go of several executives amid allegations of widespread sexual harassment. That is true, and if you were just focusing on this stuff and say there's a problem there and we should be calling it out, paying attention, and taking this case by case, can't just say believe all women, that's absolutely ridiculous. But say, okay, let's look at this, take it case by case and investigate these, fine. Maybe there's a problem there. And it's not just sexual harassment and stuff, there's crunch, there's a bunch of stuff in the gaming industry that needs to be addressed. It's not just this, but this may be a problem. But that's not what they're just focusing on. It seems like most of this is just focusing on portrayal of women in video games. And because that they look good, that it's sexist. There are signs of progress. Sony's 2017 blockbuster release, Horizon Zero Dawn, shows that there's a huge market for games that don't denigrate women. It shows that there's a huge market for games that are good. Huge market for games that have good gameplay, good stories, good characters. That's what Horizon was. I love Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm excited for this next game, Horizon Forbidden West. Coming out in February, I think. I'm excited for it. It's because Aloy is a great character, has a great story arc, good voice acting. The world is awesome. It's not because she's a woman. It's not because she's not sexualized. Then it says Zero Dawn's main protagonist is a female character who doesn't look like a supermodel. Funny you should mention that. This guy, and shout out to Lauren Chen, I found this because of her. This guy, Will O'Connell, has a picture of the person they modeled Aloy after. She is a supermodel. So she is supposed to be modeled after a supermodel. But I guess they wanted to deviate from that for some reason. They didn't want to over-sexualize her. So, funny that you mention, she doesn't look like a supermodel because she's supposed to. The character named Aloy battles robotic dinosaurs and aims to stop a rogue artificial intelligence system from destroying life on Earth. The game developers said they wanted to create, quote, believable and inspirational hero for everyone, and it worked. A study found that women are underrepresented in executive roles in the video game industry. One obvious path toward reform would be improved diversity among those who create games for deep-pocketed developers. You can't just say, oh, we gotta get more women in the gaming industry, more women in STEM, whatever industry you want to talk about. They have to be interested in it, they have to want to do it. That's the problem. men are more interested in video games than women. This study that says like half of gamers are women or something like that, I don't remember the exact number, is is false. Well, it's technically true. I shouldn't say it's false, it's technically true, but most of them, or at least a big percentage of them, are playing mobile games like Candy Crush. So it's not representative of what is actually going on here. It's not actual like console gamers or PC gamers. I mean, there is a lot of them. Don't get me wrong, but it's mostly or a lot of them are mobile gamers like Candy Crush and other mobile games. Earlier in December, Activision released a report showing that only 1/4 of their employees were female. A share, it said, was similar to its industry peers. Maybe that's because that's who's interested in it. If that's similar across the board, maybe that's just who's interested in doing it. There's no problem with that. Treatment of women in video games, both behind the scenes and as characters within them, is nothing short of scandalous. Hopefully the latest round of outrages will spur publishers to change their culture. Now, the media's been trying to push this narrative for years. Got Gamergate, got more recently, got Anita Sarkeesian. I mean, it's just been going on for years. They've failed. They've lost for the most part. Now, more recently, there's been a lot more female protagonists. Feels like a majority of games that's been shown at E3 and the Game Awards and all these different presentations have been female leads. If it's not like choose your own character or like a multiplayer game or whatnot, seems like most of them are female leads, and also ones that aren't pre-existing. So it's not like you're not getting a ton of female leads, and they're not sexualized for the most part either. Even if they are sexualized, a lot of them have good character arcs, good storylines, etc. Like, I love Tomb Raider. It's one of my favorite video game series. The newer ones. I haven't played the old ones. I've played the newest trilogy. One of my favorite video game series. I know people think those are not the best games, but I love them. I love Horizon Zero Dawn, like I said. The first Last of Us, Ellie. She's great. She's not sexualized. She's a kid. I hope she isn't. Then you got Senua from Hellblade. You got the people from Resident Evil. I haven't played those games, but a lot of people love those. You got Jill Valentine from that. Claire Redfield. Then you got just Final Fantasy characters. You got Tifa. You got Bayonetta. So there's just a ton of people. I know I'm missing a lot too. Let's just go in the comments here. You got Beyond Good and Evil's Jade, Virginia Maxwell, the Atelier, I don't know how to pronounce that series, like everyone, he says, Velvet Crow, Samus, The Boss, Metal Gear Solid 3, Lightning, Alex Vance, Yuna, Senua. There's been a big market. It's easy to ignore if you like. Don't play games much or haven't been playing games very long. Is it because of that, or because her design has no emphasis on attractiveness, so you think it's good? Newsflash, characters who are designed to be attractive can still be awesome. Hell, some are awesome because they embrace their looks. See Bayonetta. I mean, they're absolutely getting destroyed in the comments. This person says, ahem. And it shows pictures of Samus, Bayonetta. Not sure who this is. Lara Croft. There have been games with female protagonists for decades. Tomb Raider, Mirror's Edge, Metroid, optional female leads like Mass Effect. Hell, Xbox alone has 3 more AAA titles with female leads and even more female side characters. Gears 5, Hellblade 2, Perfect Dark. Strong female characters have been part of video games for decades. Just because you only started liking video games in the last 10 years doesn't mean games didn't exist before that. Estelle Bright, Samus Aran, Lara Croft, Chun-Li, Tifa, and many more. You clearly haven't played games from 10 to 20 years ago. If you think Aloy is an object of female desire, then you clearly don't know men. she looked good in the first one. I thought she wasn't the most beautiful woman in the world, but I thought she looked pretty good. I mean, look, it looks good. I guess they're not saying she isn't attractive. She isn't supermodel. They're saying she isn't a supermodel. They're saying she's not like overly sexualized. She isn't, but she does still look good. And now in now in Horizon Forbidden West, making her face fatter, make her look less attractive. I mean, look at her in Horizon Zero Dawn. Looks pretty good. And they also put this picture up here, comparing her to Nico Avocado. That is hilarious because it does look similar. It really does. It's funny. But Lauren Chen chimed in. The gaming industry is being accused of sexism again. Bloomberg's unironic solution to women in games being sexualized? Have uglier female characters. It's literally what it is. They just want female characters to be less attractive and get rid of the male gaze. Even though, let's go back here. I saw a couple talking about it. Went too far up. We should do something about the thing that only happens to female characters. Pictures of Kratos. Is that Mr. T? I don't know who that is. Sorry. That might be completely wrong. You got the guy from Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Final Fantasy VII in general. I forgot his name. Again, I don't play Final Fantasy. And this guy. Then got Cloud Strife here. This person says, don't forget about the lean dudes. Plenty of male protagonists that are just inhumanely good looking. If Cloud was real, he'd have gals' knees shaking just by glancing in their general direction. Yeah, I mean, it's absurd to think it just happens to female characters. Like, even in the movie industry, they can drool over Jason Momoa and Henry Cavill all they want, but if you get just a little bit of cleavage from somebody like Scarlett Johansson, oh my god, it's the outrage. Oh my god, how dare you comply to male gaze? I mean, it's absurd what they're thinking, and like I said before, most of the games, at least half of them, I think it's more than half of the games that have been shown at these big presentations, like E3 and the Game Awards and whatnot, Nintendo Directs, maybe, that aren't pre-existing franchises, characters, multiplayer games, or choose-your-own characters, have been female. The new titles, new IPs, even franchises that have different main characters in games like Gears, they had female protagonists in the last one. That wasn't sexualized either. So, I mean, it's absolutely absurd to think that they're still sexualizing female characters like they were back then. And even back then, 20, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, let's say, the characters that were sexualized, they still had good stories. Like, Tomb Raider still had good storylines, good character arcs. Just because Lara Croft looked good doesn't mean she wasn't a good character. So it's not just sexualization. This is fantasy. Guys want to look at attractive women. Women want to look at attractive men. And women want to look at attractive women. Men want to look at attractive men. They don't want to look at a fat dude or a fat chick. They want to look at attractive people. It's fantasy. Again, I don't really have much of an issue with them talking about these scandals here, as long as they're not overly politicizing them and talking about how they should be, looking at the evidence and looking at what's really going on with them and not just overly politicizing them. Then that's a discussion worth having. But to talk about this shit here is just absurd. There's also one more thing I wanted to show here. I found this a while ago when this controversy about Aloy, her face being enlarged, let's say, uh, first came to light, I found this little forum here, and take this with a grain of salt because I can't find the original source that they're talking about here. So I don't know if this is true necessarily, but I don't know why somebody would make this up. I also found another forum talking about this. This isn't the only one, but take this with a grain of salt. This is talking about an interview with like the director or something from Horizon Zero Dawn, talking about why they made Aloy look the way they did. This person says, Sonic Fuentes, they said, like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite debates, the developer of Horizon Zero Dawn was questioned why they made the main character so unattractive, which, I mean, ignore the opinion stuff here. I don't think she's unattractive. Despite being professional model looking so good. The professional model looking so good. Well, the answer, the director felt that the feminine look of the professional model didn't portray the strength they wanted to demonstrate for the heroine. Lara Croft looks much like the model she's based off, but the director of the game, Horizon Zero Dawn, described Aloy similarly to what Uncharted 4 director had in mind for Nadine. What if I were a girl, is the quote. There was some debate on the subject, but the team decided that the original model portraying Aloy looked like she would, quote, cry if she broke a nail. By adding weight and masculinity to Aloy's face, they added the look of strength and intimidation, as discussed by Kotaku and on NeoGAF forums. Lara Croft type characters look more weak damsels in distress rather than strong heroines. And this is a link to N4G. I did this. It just takes me to the N4G website. It doesn't take me to the article. I looked through that website, couldn't find it. It says, interesting article, the consequence of having strong, attractive heroines is that their attractiveness also makes them too feminine looking, aka weak. Yeah, like what they're saying here is she'll the model look too attractive, so therefore weak. They said adding weight to Aloy's face made her look stronger, which making her more unattractive means stronger, means she's stronger character. Making her look more masculine makes her stronger for some reason. They think turning women into men makes them strong characters. Think women are weak, essentially is what they're saying. It's just insanely sexist. It looked like she'd cry if she broke a nail. Come on. Just because Lara Croft's attractive doesn't mean she's not a strong female character. She's a very strong female character. And she looks good. What's the problem with that? But I just wanted to highlight this. Again, take it with a grain of salt. I couldn't find the original source. But, I mean, that is absolutely ridiculous if that is true, which I think it is. But again, take it with a grain of salt. Oh, and by the way, this is the guy that wrote the article. Of course, it's a guy, male feminist. Surprisingly, he doesn't have his pronouns in his bio. But, of course, it's a guy writing this. But let me know what you think about this whole situation. Like, if you like, subscribe, want to see more, comment, share. Another channel called Thoughtful Outlaw Sports where I talk about basketball, baseball, football, anything else sports related you're interested in. So check that out if you're interested. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.